Hello, friends and family. Welcome to Sasquatch Sisters Northwest YouTube channel. My name is Angelique, and I will be your host as we gather around, getting ready to share with you, our listeners, a letter from one of our subscribers of a true encounter. And what better place to share than around the campfire among kindred spirits? So let's settle in, grab a roasting stick and a cold beverage, and let's go. Our first letter comes to us from Juanita. Juanita is an Ojibwa woman from the beautiful little town of Kettle Falls, Washington. Kettle Falls is nestled in alongside the Columbia River at the base of the Sherman Range. It's a beautiful little town at the northeast corner of the state, and I really encourage you to come visit it sometime because it's a great place to vacation. And this is what Juanita had to say. My story was years ago. It was 1983 and we were coming back from a church service in Spokane. My mom was driving and we came around a corner in the road, and there on the side of the embankment is where I saw him. I would have missed him if he hadn't turned around. We locked eyes for maybe 4 seconds and then he was gone. It's been such a long time ago, but what I do remember is clear, and I'll do my best to describe him. He matched the color of the surrounding trees. He was dark brown with some black, and his hair looked very coarse. I always referred to the Sasquatch as him because to me, he looked male. I wasn't scared, which seems kind of weird considering all the stories my dad told me about Sasquatch from the reservation. But then again, I was in the safety of a moving vehicle. Have you ever looked at a wild animal thinking you should be scared, but you weren't? That's how this was. Then again, like I said, we were in a moving vehicle. He didn't look angry or threatening, and to the best of my recollection, the feeling I had wasn't bad, but it was many years ago, and I was a little kid. I remember we locked eyes for those few seconds, then he turned around and blended in with the trees. I told my mom and my sister, and they teased me a lot about it, but my dad didn't. He had lived his entire life on or near the Colville Reservation and the tribal community of Angelique, Washington. He asked me a few questions for the next few days, and then that was that. But from time to time, he would bring it up and he would mention that I'd seen one. The stories I've heard about Sasquatch were never the same. Since that day, I've always believed that Sasquatch existed, and my experience with seeing one lives deep within me. And that is the end of her letter. It's short and to the point, but if you take into consideration the small details, there's a lot of information in this. First of all, it happened in broad daylight, which completely kills the idea that these forest people are strictly nocturnal. They literally will be out and about at any given time, just like we are. Some of them probably sleep more at night because it's better hunting, and others might snooze in the middle of the day. We're learning about that, but this does prove that they'll come out at any given time. I think it just depends on the circumstances and the individual. Another thing that I spoke with Juanita after she sent the letter was that she was very clear in telling me that her mom didn't see it, yet it was standing right there on the embankment close enough that she could see he was looking directly into her eyes. This is also something that I've heard a lot from fellow witnesses as well as researchers, is that for some reason there are people who can see them plain as day and yet be sitting right next to someone else who can't see them at all. They definitely seem to pick and choose their witnesses. So I find it really interesting that Juanita was close enough to actually see the coarseness of his hair, and yet her mom didn't see him at all. Another thing that caught my attention was that he made direct eye contact with her. That's something that I've experienced, and I've heard it from many people. It's almost as if when they do that, that they can look right into your soul. I don't even really know how to explain it myself, but it's almost a spiritual connection. Also, I'm really familiar with that general area where this happened, and the speed limit has always been 55 miles an hour. Now, I don't know if Juanita's mom was going 55 at the time that this happened. I can only assume that, but if she was, I really find it interesting that he could make eye contact with her going at that speed. I'm not sure, just judging from myself, I'm not sure that I could make eye contact with someone who's going that speed. I'm pretty sure I could get an overview of their face as they pass by, but I don't think I could catch up with their eye contact going at that speed. So this is something that I'm going to experiment a little bit with and see how that goes. It does tell me that they have the ability to track moving objects at high speed. And it also tells me that they look directly into your eyes for information. So I'm going to go more into depth with that at a later date, but I found it interesting. Also, the fact that when he turned around and immediately blended into the trees, that's something that I've witnessed myself, and so have the other girls on our team and many witnesses that we know. It's a little unsettling at the time, but it gives you some insight into their many abilities to match their surroundings, much like a chameleon, or to just out and outright cloak, where they can come across as what looks like a stump or a bush or a tree or something that just blends in with their surroundings. They're absolutely adept at that. And I'm going to go into, I think, a full episode on just that coming up in the future. I think that's going to be very interesting. And I really encourage you, our listeners, if you've experienced this, to please get a hold of us and let us know what your experience was. I think every little bit of information helps. And that's what we're here for. We're here to learn, and hopefully so are you. Also, I just have to say this as a mother. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I just want to say this. If your children come to you and tell you that they've seen a forest being, or anything for that matter, if they come to you and they tell you that they've seen something, please listen to them and take what they say into consideration. Not only will you become more aware of potential dangers, but you'll make them feel safe enough that they can talk to you about anything. And isn't that what we want from our children, is for them to feel safe enough around us that they can talk to us about anything? I think that's important. So please don't make them feel ashamed or tease them about what they've seen. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have experienced that. I know I have. I've been shamed a lot for some of the things that I've seen. And so I stayed closed-lipped through most of my life, and I didn't share with any of those family members anything from then on. So I just really encourage you. You're the people in their life that they should feel safe to come and talk to. Anyway, I just want to thank Juanita for sharing this encounter with us. It was a short one, but like I said, it was packed with information, and every little bit is noteworthy and important. And Juanita, I just want to thank you for being brave enough to step forward and to come out and share this with us. And I want you to know that from the Kettle Falls area, you are not the only person that's had an encounter in that general area, whether it be the whole Stevens County, Ferry County, the whole northeast corner of Washington. Let's just get down to it. There are people coming forward all over the inland Northwest. But in that area specifically, you are not the only one, because I'm getting ready to share another encounter later on this coming week that came from that same vicinity. So I just want to thank you for being brave enough to come forward. So for the rest of you, please keep those encounters coming, my friends. I really just want to encourage you. It's time. It's time for us to no longer be afraid. And with as many people who are having encounters every year with these forest people, we can't hide it anymore. It's time. So I just encourage you to get a hold of us and share with us the information that you have, because every little bit of information is important. Even if it doesn't seem noteworthy to you, it might be to somebody else. It might be that missing puzzle piece that helps them fill in the gaps of what they know. So every little bit helps. I'm also getting ready. I'm working on an encounter that happened out of the Blanchard, Idaho area that is just going to blow your mind. So make sure that you remember to hit that notification bell so that as soon as I get it uploaded and out there, you'll be the first to know. All right, that campfire looks like it's about ready to die, so let's throw another stick on the fire and break out those s'mores. I am ready, I am craving, and it's time. Have a good night and come join us again.